Welcome back to the Niner Narrative, where we bring context to the conversation. I am Chunder Boy, and the 49ers just walked into the old New Orleans Superdome and walked out with a 26-1 victory. This is important for a couple of reasons, but before we start to make too much of this season, it's the Saints. Let's not get carried away. It is awesome that the 49ers are winning games when they're down not just players, but critical players. Your number one wide receiver should be Ayuk, but he's out. It's been Pearsall. Your number one tight end goes down. Your quarterback goes down. There's not a lot of teams that can continue to win games in the NFL with those types of injuries. So that's arrow up. But the 49ers have struggled to beat a Seattle team that doesn't really have their identity yet. They've got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of good players, but they haven't seemed to really find their groove yet. So take that for what you will. And then, of course, the Saints. I mean, the Saints are going to Saint. It's just really all there is to it. They did look pretty good, though. They were very scrappy as well. Their quarterback, Spencer Rattler, has really shown some signs in year two. And I think there's a chance that he has himself one long, good career in the NFL. It might take a few seasons. He may have to go be a backup somewhere, but I could definitely see him having kind of a Geno career where he maybe gets a couple of shots. It doesn't really work out. He's kind of put in a bad situation up front with an organization that's not really ready to win the way Geno was. But when Geno was at the Jets, that was coming off of, I think, when they had Mark Sanchez. So there's some things there. I think 2012, 2013, something like that. But eventually found his footing in the NFL and is now a quality starter. I think there's a chance Rattler has that kind of a slow burn career where he eventually develops into a quality starter. So today we're going to discuss not just what happened in the game with the 49ers and the Saints. We're also going to discuss what happened in the NFC West, and we're going to discuss some of the other teams in the NFC and just kind of take an overall where the 49ers are at after going 2-0 in the season. We're going to do some statistical analysis, some breakdown, talk about the game. So if you haven't already, like, subscribe. We need your help to grow this channel. If you want me to keep bringing this kind of content and this kind of info your way, we need your help. So without further ado, let's get into it. 49ers win 26-21 against New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. This caps off the 49ers starting the season 2-0 with back-to-back road games. That's critical, but the other reason that it's critical is because they're both NFC opponents, including a divisional opponent in the opening game. If the 49ers have to lose a game the next 3 or 4, it should be against Jacksonville. That's the team that hurts us the least if we get a loss, or Houston I think we played them in about 5 weeks after the Bucs, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the schedule pulled up. Continuing to win the NFC games is going to be critical. If we are in it at the end of the year, winning these games early in the season is the difference between being a 1 seed and a 4 seed. It can be the difference between winning a division and not winning a division, which makes you you could go from being a 2 seed to a 6 seed very quickly just by having some different tiebreakers. That is fairly common in the NFL. So let's give the 49ers props for getting a couple of good wins. But let's also pump the brakes and let's not act like they're world beaters just yet. So some of the things I really liked from this. One, Christian McCaffrey continues to be the focal point of the offense and continues to produce. His rushing numbers go up to 4.2 per carry, which is better than he was last week. However, his total production comes down from 140-plus yards down to 107. So a little good, little bad there. All in all, a pretty solid outing for Christian McCaffrey. He was not as effective in the pass game this week, but was a little bit better in pass protection. He was awful in pass protection last week. So that's a positive there. So 49ers improved to 2-0 despite the injuries, including Brock Purdy. They also lost Ben Bartch during the game at left guard. We'll talk about him and Connor Colby in a minute because Connor Colby should probably take the job and keep it. We'll get into that in just a minute. We also lost Kyle Juszczyk in this game due to a concussion that happened early in the game. I believe it was the first quarter. He'll hopefully be back next week. Kyle Juszczyk is one of those players where he's kind of one of Kyle Shanahan's easy buttons. And what I mean by that is Kyle Shanahan doesn't have to – he can call any play if Juice is on the field because Juice is so versatile. So Juice doesn't give you any sort of elite play by any real metric, but what he gives you is the ability to basically run any play you want. Because if you need him to play a tight end position, you can do that. If you need him to be a fullback, you can do that. You can split him out and at a slot receiver. He knows that position too. He gives you the ability to run any play from almost any formation because of all the different ways that he can line up. So his versatility is honestly what makes him valuable. I'm not sure we should keep paying $5 million a year for that, but I'm not the coach of this team. Mac Jones, 279 yards on 39 attempts, finished with 66%, I believe 66% completion. That's really good. If your backup quarterback comes in and plays that effective and has 113 passer rating and so on and so forth, I want to see what his QBR is. As you know, we value QBR more than we value passer rating. I haven't had a chance to look that up. I don't think it was available when I looked. But Mac Jones played really well. The offensive line is not helping either quarterback very much right now. We'll get into that. But given that Brock Purdy's out, and the only thing that I noticed is it didn't seem like the operation of the offense was as efficient or effective. But I will say, to Mac Jones' credit, he protected the ball better than Brock Purdy does. And I know there's some criticism about him holding on to the ball too long, but Brock holds the ball longer than he does regularly. And Brock throws too many YOLO balls. Brock is still clearly the better quarterback. The offense is more efficient. Brock is more efficient. The operation is much smoother when Brock's in there. And those are critical to offense's scoring points. Being able to move the ball, you can't always get explosives. You can't always get the 40-yard play. So you have to be able to efficiently and effective, without mistakes, go play in and play out and do the simple things correctly over and over again. That's how you win games. That's how you win championships. Fundamentals over and over correctly. Brock's better at that than Mac. Mac has a better arm than Brock does. Brock processes faster than Mac does. It's all kind of a give and take. At the end of the day, I would take Brock over Mac, but I understand why so many people are excited about Mac and how well he played, because he played really well. He's probably, if he has another game or two where he has to play and then doesn't play the rest of the season, if he plays like he did tonight in those one or two more games where he's relieving in relief for Brock Purdy, he's going to make himself a heck of a payday at the end of the season. So good for him for that. Pressure rate this game, the Saints put pressure on Mac Jones by 18.6% of his dropbacks. So that's not a crazy high number. But that's a good number for the Saints putting pressure on Mac. But considering that all of the backups we're playing with, considering that Trent Williams is probably playing injured and playing through an injury, left guard goes down. Pooney has not been great, but I think Pooney played better tonight than he did in the first game. But there's still several plays where Pooney is just not good enough. So that's got to get cleaned up quickly. There was a stretch in this game where Pooney was just bad. So I think that all in all, he probably played a little better than he did in the first game, but it's still really not good. Mike McGlinchey, I keep doing that. I've got to stop doing that. Colton McKivitz has continued to just, you don't hear his name. And at the end of the day, that's what you want from your offensive lineman. You don't hear their name. You don't hear their name called. McKivitz had a few plays here and there. He's not an elite tackle by any means, so he's going to have some off plays. But I think he's probably been one of, if not our most consistent offensive lineman, just kind of being steady. So with the 49ers pass rush producing an 18.6%, well, that's kind of pressure rate, not really pressure rate. Bosa, 6 pressures. Bryce Huff had 5. They both got a sack. Really, really important that the 49ers pass rush is able. The thing I want to talk about with Bryce Huff's play at the end of the game, this game, and Bosa's at the end of the game last game. On the one hand, I'd really like to see the 49ers offense actually close the game out. Get the ball back with 4 minutes and don't give it back to the other team. Run the ball, get some first downs, and take a knee. Finish a game on offense. That's what I'd love to see the 49ers do. I can't remember the last time the 49ers actually got the ball back outside of the 2-minute warning and were able to just finish the game. They put it on their defense. Last year, the defense wasn't able to get off the field often enough. Cost us a lot of games. They're gassed. They didn't have enough pass rush. They couldn't stop the run. Lost a lot of games because of that. This year, it seems they've cleaned that up. We'll get into some of the rushing numbers in a minute, but the 49ers run defense is much better. Kalia Davis somehow has a terrible PFF grade. I thought he was fine tonight. I'm not sure why he has such a bad PFF grade. That's why you kind of have to take PFF grades with a grain of salt. They are very helpful for surface level discussions and reference. They're not awesome for having any sort of a detailed analysis on a game, because they kind of graded how they grade it, and it's a bit subjective. Tonight, Kalia Davis numbers tonight from PFF illustrate that clearly. So Christian McCaffrey, 69.2% success rate. That was excellent, but not a lot of explosives, not a lot. He was just kind of steady, and that's okay too. If we get more of this out of Christian McCaffrey with just an extra explosive or two here and there, that bodes really, really well for the 49ers offense moving forward. So the rookies played really well in this game. I think that Connor Colby needs a game ball. He wasn't really given a whole lot of consideration before like a week or two before the season started. The only reason that he has gotten more than a footnote in the conversation with the 49ers is because he played well in the preseason. He got noticed. He made the team because of it, and now he is potentially going to be the starter moving forward. Ben Bartch is not reliable. He does not stay healthy. If Connor Colby stays healthy, the best ability might be availability in this situation, and leaving him out there to continue to grow and get better bodes really well for your future. So if he's not a liability, and it doesn't seem that he is, leave him out there. Ben Bartch is now your swing guard, and you've got to figure out tackle, because I do believe Spencer Burford went down today as well. I didn't see him on the official injury report, though. That's just something that I sort of heard through the grapevines. But yeah, Connor Colby needs to stay in the game. Just that simple. On defense, couple of standouts. As far as PFF goes, again, PFF is just surface level. But Fred Warner, another huge night, 95.1 overall. Bryce Huff had a pass rush grade of 90.4. It's not his overall grade, but just a pass rush grade. It's all I really care about, because what we want from Bryce Huff, and what I was getting to earlier, is what we need Mykel Williams to be your edge setter. We need him to kick inside and rush from the inside, which he did, and he did well in both of those regards. Mykel Williams was terrific tonight. He's still a rookie. There's still some rookie moments, but he is collapsing down the line. He's making those plays where you come down the line hard and tackle the running back right as he gets to the line of scrimmage, things like that. He is forcing things back inside to the linebackers. It's really helping out especially the tackling numbers. I think it was 9 tackles for Fred tonight. Trent Williams had a 90 pass block. I'm not sure I agree with that, but he did do much better in this game than he did in the first one. So let's hope that Trent Williams is kind of getting himself back on track. Maybe whatever injury's been nagging him is getting a little better. Let's hope that trend continues and he gets back to being the Trent Williams that we all know. Sorry, I was reading Christian McCaffrey here. Again, McCaffrey was solid. Now, Juwan Jennings was probably the best wide receiver on the field tonight, even though he had some drops. Ricky Pearsall is quickly becoming the stalwart in the offense. He's becoming just dependable. He's going to get you 4 or 5 catches. He's going to get you 60, 70 yards. He's occasionally going to bust one over the top of the defense. Last week, he had over 100 yards, but it would have been like 150 if Mac Jones wouldn't have missed the throw over the top. I'm sorry, that was in the game against the Saints. He would have had a much better night had Mac Jones not missed the throw over the top. So, all those things kind of come to fruition in one specific way, and I'll get to that in just a minute. So some of the underperformers, according to PFF, were Renard Green, Marquise Siegel. They had really poor grades. Dominic Pooney had another poor grade with inconsistent moments throughout the game. As I said, he did do some things that I thought were a little better, but he had some stretches there that were really bad. Mac Jones was under pressure often. He just was. And some of that's Pooney. Some of that is the turnstile known as our center in Jake Brendel. But, yeah, some of that's got to get cleaned up. We're going to get our quarterback skilled. I couldn't find the CPOE numbers or the DVOA numbers. I will find them and get them to you guys. I will have a video I'll be dropping on Wednesday. By then, all the numbers should be out. My weekly installment on Wednesdays will be called Niner by the Numbers, and I'll be breaking down all of the significant advanced metrics, what they mean, and which ones are maybe a little off because they're inflated by certain stats or by sample size, so on and so forth. We'll be breaking all that down for you. That video should be coming out Wednesday once we have all the numbers in. So a couple of critical plays in this game. One, the 49ers, I guess this is less a critical play and more a critical thing they did, which is move the ball well on third down. They had a good third down percentage in this game. They continued to move the ball. They continued to stay on the field. Mac Jones throwing for 3 touchdowns was terrific. But once again, the defense carried the day. Because at the end of the day, when the game was on the line, it was Fred Warner punching the ball out to stop a drive that looked like it was going somewhere for the Saints. It was Nick Bosa getting a sack on third down. It was Bryce Huff coming in and closing out the game. It was the defense that was making the plays that were changing the game. The offense did well. They did their part. They got to 26 points like they should. They did so with a backup at many positions. But once again, the 49ers are back to being a team that relies on their defense to close games and to close situations. That's troubling. For a team led by an offensive head coach, your defense is the unit that constantly has to put the team on their back. Something feels off with that. I'm not sure why it is exactly, but something just feels off with that. The special teams unit did not lose the game today. It was a little bit scary when Pinheiro missed his first PAT. However, I reminded myself he does have this weird knack of missing PATs for whatever reason. His field goal percentage is actually better than his PAT percentage, I think. The thing that I noticed most in the field goals that did go in, were with Moody, you weren't sure if it was going to go in even after he kicked it. There was so much movement in the ball, so much drift left to right, so much going on with his kicks. You weren't sure even on the good ones, if they were going to go in. And with Eddie P, he kicked it and it just came straight off his foot and just went up and went. It was just so clean. I wasn't holding my breath the whole time. It came off his foot and I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good field goal. That's a good feeling. We have not had that feeling in a while. It felt pretty nice, didn't it? So let's hope that continues. We had some really good things happen on the punt coverage as well, especially at the end of the game when we drop a punt at the 6-yard line. Why that guy's fair catching the ball at 6, I'm not sure, but it helped us out quite a bit, and it set up the play for Huff to come in and close out the game. The last thing I'll say about the defense, moving on from special teams, is that Bryce Huff is doing exactly what we brought him in to do. A situational pass rusher to come in and close out situations. Third downs, especially third and longs, late in the first half, late in the second half, critical moments. Be a guy who just pins his ears back and go kills a quarterback. He's done that well. Our defensive line is really rounding into form. Sam O is being extraordinarily disruptive. The numbers might not back up what Sam O is doing on the field. It might not look gaudy on a stat sheet, but that man is ruining plays. I think Alfred Collins is doing okay, but Kalia Davis, Sam O, a little bit. CJ West, I think he was better in this game. And another unheralded guy, Natura Gross-Matos, he's finally staying healthy. But those are the guys that are really holding this thing down on top of course, Nick Bosa, the stalwart, the star. I'm really happy with where the 49ers defensive line is currently and where they're headed because I think they're going to get a lot better. There's a chance that this defensive line is ruining games by the end of the season, given they all stay healthy. So, forced fumble by Fred. We've seen that before. Pass rush with the combination of Bosa and Huff with Yatura in the middle and Michael Williams in the middle. I love to see the return of the NASCAR package. It is such an effective way to rush the quarterback in obvious passing situations. Trent Williams making a game out of it and playing pretty well. That's helpful. The Connor Colby filling in, big time stuff. So all in all, the 49ers are heading in a positive direction. They're fighting to get past the injuries, but let's not kid ourselves and act like this is a team is a contender yet. They're not. They're a team that should make the playoffs. They're a team that might win their division. They're not a contender. We'll talk about the rest of the NFC in a little bit with the Packers. The Bucs just had a big-time win tonight against Houston with Baker Mayfield driving down the field late. Again, we'll get into more of the NFC stuff later in the show. But the 49ers are scrappy. They're getting wins. And if they do round into form, scrapping out some of these early season wins when we haven't really figured out who we are yet is exactly how you win championships because it puts you in a much better position in seeding and playoffs and everything else. And there's a chance that these wins early in the season are significantly are much more significant by the time the end of the season rolls down. So I don't want to make too much of it, but these are really important road wins against NFC and NFC West opponents. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the NFC West opponents. Let's take a look at the division as a whole. I want to do this each week and look at where the division's at and kind of assess where we're at, where they're at, and what we need to do moving forward. So right now there's 3 teams with the Cardinals, the Rams, and the 49ers all being 2-0. And then, of course, Seattle has one loss to the 49ers. This is one of the better divisions. If it's probably the best division in the NFC West right now. It's one of the better divisions in football, I think. The Rams look like a legit contender. Their young defensive line, which is a year ahead of where the 49ers are now. Because we kind of took their playbook as far as building that defensive line. And their defensive line is really starting to disrupt football games. It's going to be a problem for anybody they play. So current point differentials, 49ers are at 43 points, 434 against. It's a 9-point differential. Cardinals have a 12-point differential. Rams at 19, plus 19. Seahawks at plus 10. None of them are running away with the point differential, but the Rams clearly have the better point differential and are probably the best team in the division right now. The 49ers are hawking them down. They're on the move. They're coming. They're getting better. They're gelling. And by mid-season, I think they could be neck and neck, but we might find out even sooner because they play in week 5. That's going to be the first real litmus test of this team. When the 49ers play the Rams in week 5, we're going to find out if this team is a serious team this year, or is this team going to win 12 games, 11 games, 13 games, like I predicted, against just inferior opponents. We just have a terrible schedule. We're a good team with a terrible schedule, and we're going to look better than we are. We're a 9 or 10 win team that's going to get an extra couple of wins because we're playing a terrible schedule by NFL standards. I understand it's the NFL. There's no such thing as bad teams because these guys are all paid professionals. But let's be honest, there's levels. So the 49ers have largely been covered in this. So I'm not going to go too much more in depth there. Some of the key metrics, though, for the 49ers, the depth is holding up. That was a huge concern going into the season. Do the 49ers have enough depth? Okay, cool. They have 5 Hall of Famers on this team. Great. What happens when one of them inevitably goes down, like George Kittle? What happens when 2 more of them are banged up, like McCaffrey with his calf injury and Trent Williams with his leg, knee, ankle? The depth is holding up. When Connor Colby had to come in, he might be better than the starter was. The young guys on the defensive side of the ball are playing well. They're doing some rookie things, but they are flying around the football field. And they are playing Robert Saleh defense. And they're going to get better. Boy, am I excited about the 49ers defense. I'm very, very excited for the 49ers defense, what it's going to look like at the end of the season if they stay healthy, because there are so many things that I'm seeing. The stuff that's preventing them from already being an elite defense is almost entirely rookie stuff. It's almost entirely young players making mistakes, getting out of position, having dirty eyes, taking a bad angle, all those kinds of things that are making it so this team is really good but not elite yet on defense. I don't think it's going to take that much longer for it to start to click for the younger guys. Anyway, so really good defensive grades and grading. The pass rush has been really good. I'll get you guys the Niners by the number pod that I'll be dropping Wednesday. I'll have the pass rush win rate and success rates and all that kind of stuff in there, and that'll kind of give us a clear idea of how well exactly they're doing against the pass as it compares to the rest of the league. Passing game on offense been a little under duress, so it's kind of the opposite of where we're at on the defensive side of the ball. I really hope they get that cleaned up. One of the things that Purdy kind of covers up with his athleticism is a porous offensive line. Excuse me. So Cardinals, moving on. Cardinals are also 2-0. I'm not sure how. They should have got beat by the Saints. I don't think the Cardinals are as good as their record, but we're going to find out next week. Cardinals play the 49ers next week for the 49ers home opener. I think if the 49ers get a little bit healthy, I definitely think they can win this game, but we're going to have to play. We're going to have to really play our game. We can't beat ourselves in this game because the Cardinals will make us pay for it. If we throw picks, if we fumble the ball, if we don't play really good, sound 49er football, they're going to beat us. So the offense has shown they can put up points. Defenses for the Cardinals has been a little less consistent, but has been a bit opportunistic at times. And they've situationally made some plays where they really need to. So the defense has done enough. So that's why they sit at 2-0. We'll want to see some metrics like defensive success rate and EPA allowed when we do Niners by the numbers. We'll have all that stuff to kind of give you a better idea of exactly where those teams are at. Rams with the number one point differential in the division. Clearly, their defense is probably the best defense in the division right now. Their offense is arguably the best offense in the division right now. Tremendous coaching. If their quarterback's back stays healthy, they're going to continue to be a really good team. And they're the team that we're going to be fighting all season long for the division. So their pass rush and secondary are just, they work in tandem so well. They're going to be tough to deal with. The Seattle Seahawks have been, they just haven't found their footing yet. It's a really talented team. Especially on defense. Their offensive line needs a lot of help. I'm not sure. I've heard some people talk about their offensive line as if it's good, and I don't understand. I don't get it. They've got a good left tackle. Everybody else, their left guard's okay, I guess. He's pretty. He's solid, but he's a rookie, and we don't know how long he'll continue to be solid. Will he hit that rookie wall that they all hit? So Gray Zabel has been really good so far, but we'll see if after teams get a couple of games of tape on him, if that continues. Center out to the right. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's not good. It's not good. So Seattle has a little bit of work to do. I think the defense is going to keep them in some games. I think K9 is finding his footing a little bit. Had a terrific game this weekend. It was a big reason why they were able to steal a game from the Steelers. But let's be honest, if it wasn't for a returner not knowing that you have to pick the ball up and down it, that the ball's live on a kickoff, Seattle probably doesn't win that game. So there's just the same as the 49ers could be 0-2 right now if they had a couple of plays not go their way. Seattle should be 0-2 right now. So, that kind of is what it is. 49ers' ability to generate pressure has really given them an edge so far. But, boy, am I worried about that offensive line against the Rams. I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to hold up. I don't think it will. I hope Kyle Shanahan has some stuff in his bag for that game because that could be a long day. Yeah. We'll get into blitz stuff Wednesday a little more, I think. So anyway, we're going to move on to the NFC teams here. So there's currently 6 teams in the NFC that are still undefeated after 2 weeks at 2-0. Buccaneers, Packers, Eagles, and then the 3 teams from the NFC West and the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals. What do we know about these teams so far? Philadelphia is the most complete team. It's my opinion. They play well in all 3 phases. Packers are probably the best team. They've played better on defense than Philly, and they've probably played better on offense. Their offense is doing well, and their players are younger and hungry and more athletic. And I just think that the Packers have the better team right now. Now, will it look different in 6 weeks? It might. It might. But both of those teams are expected there to be at the end. The Eagles and the Packers, I can't see any reason why those teams won't be the teams we have to go through to get the ultimate goal this season. Packers, again, starting 2-0. Um, their 0.4 points against is very good. Um, so that kind of indicates that both sides of the ball are playing well. When you have that high point differential, that really just says that both sides are doing well. The Bucks are 2-0 as well, but a lot of it has been like tonight. They didn't necessarily play all that well. They came out of the gate firing, scored their first touchdown, and only scored one touchdown until the last drive. So they end up winning that game, but I don't know how much confidence I have in them. I think they could get, I don't want to say exposed. Of the undefeated teams outside of our division, the Packers, the Eagles, and the Packers, the Eagles, and the Buccaneers, I think the Buccaneers are the most vulnerable. I think they're the most vulnerable. So at the end of the day, the 49ers have to continue to they have to continue to make the critical plays. I think that's what the season has broken down to this point. The 49ers have made critical plays when they've had to. Not just at the end of the games, but throughout the game. They've gotten some really when you feel like there could be a momentum shift, and I don't care what anybody says, momentum's a real thing. When you feel like there might be a momentum shift coming, the 49ers snuff it out. They make that critical play to snuff it out. They get the tackle on 3rd and 4. They get the pass rush at the end of the half or at the end of the game. They get maybe a forced fumble or something like that to really change what's going on in the game dramatically and swing things back their way. Let's hope that continues. Players out: Brock Purdy, Ben Bartz, Kyle Juszczyk. We've covered them. Juwan Jennings, an ankle tweak to add to his shoulder injury. I think he's just going to kind of be thugging it out next couple of weeks. There's a chance they sit him once they get Demarcus Robinson back. If he continues to just get banged up, I think there's a chance the 49ers sit him down for a week and just let him get healthy. I believe our bye is week 14 this year. I don't think they'll try to wait that long. I think when Demarcus Robinson comes back, they'll go with him and Bourne and Pearsall and maybe give him a breather. That might be better for the 49ers long run down the stretch. Just get him right. So some concerns in the secondary. I'm not overly concerned about Marquise Siegel. He's getting there. He's figuring it out. He's had some rookie moments. I mean, like that touchdown he gave up to Johnson in the corner there where his leg falls down and touches inbounds. What do you want from me? I mean, he's right there in coverage. Great throw, great catch. Good offense beats good defense every single time. It's fine. He's fine. And he'll get better. I love the way he comes downhill. One thing about when Mustafa comes back, we are going to have the best safety tandem in the league at coming downhill and hitting. I think something that you're going to see later on this season a lot of is 49ers closing teams out in 3rd and long situations with 0 blitzes. And I don't mean 0 like none. I mean 0 like a 0 blitz, 8-man pressure, send everybody 3-man. And the reason I think they're going to do that is because they have 2 safeties that come down and tackle so well. They're going to force the quarterback to get rid of the ball immediately, and they're going to trust their safeties to come downhill and make a tackle. And I think it could bode well for the season. So let's hope. Here's to hoping that Marquise Siegel improves some. Renardo Green is not playing quite as well as he did at the end of the year last year, but I think he's getting a little bit too much flack. I don't see anything glaring on tape so much as he just still has a ways to go as a young player in the NFL. He doesn't get his head around. He does not find the ball. He doesn't look comfortable out there, especially when the ball's in the air. And that's the next step for him. Get comfortable when the ball's in the air. Get to where you're playing with a little bit more riz. Riz is definitely the wrong word. This is why I don't use the freaking millennial words or Gen Z words. Gosh, I can't believe I just said that. I might have to scrap this whole video just because I said that. God, that was bad. Lord have mercy. Anyway, Renardo Green. Let's hope he continues to improve. I've seen some good things, but he just doesn't look comfortable out there, and he doesn't look like the game's too big for him. He just doesn't look comfortable. I think I'll just leave it at that. Here's to hoping nobody gets hurt because we have no depth at secondary. Moving on. So we're playing Arizona next. This is going to be a pretty good test because I think Arizona is probably better than Seattle, and I'm positive that they're better than the Saints. Although I did watch that game between Arizona and New Orleans. Arizona wasn't that much better than the Saints. They really weren't. I think they're going to sit Brock another week, even if he's potentially kind of could play. But it literally, as I say that and as it comes out of my mouth, I remember that Kyle Shanahan is a maniac and doesn't care how hurt you are. If the doc says you can play, he's going to expect you to play and go full bore. So here's to hoping that Brock Purdy can give himself another week and that Mac Jones can come in and play well against Arizona. Then we get Brock and Demarcus Robinson back for week 4. We get potentially Ayuk back, likely Ayuk back for week 5. We get Kittle back for week 6, and all of a sudden we are off to the races. We've got a stretch in the middle of the games here coming up where we've got the Rams, the Bucks, the Houston Texans, and one other good team all lined up right there in the middle of our schedule. If we go 500 through that, then I feel really comfortable about my prediction of 13 wins. If we figure out a way to go 3-1 through that stretch, we should be considered legitimate contenders. Because those are some of the teams that we'll have to either get to and play, or if Houston gets their act together, play at the end of the year against them. Some things to watch, some trends to kind of keep an eye on. Will Mac Jones CPOE get better? His completion over expected was actually minus 12%. Brock's completion percentage over expected was positive 12%. And I'm sorry, Mac was 0.12% negative. Mac completed less balls than he should have. Brock completes more throws than what's expected. That's the difference. It's the primary difference between the two quarterbacks. Brock processes a little faster. He throws a more catchable ball with better ball placement. Mac's a little more careful and doesn't turn the ball over as much. You can trust him to throw a ball 40 times a game. Mac Jones has played 33 games where he's thrown the ball at least 30 times. He's not turned the ball over in those games 15 times. Almost half the time he's thrown the ball 30 or more times, he does not turn it over. Brock needs to pay attention. So both offense and defense, especially offensive EPA under pressure, third down EPA, red zone EPA, and I'll have some more of those numbers for you Wednesday. But these are some of the things we need to keep an eye on moving forward. The 49ers doing really well in EPA per play. And what that means is they're being very efficient. Being very efficient is hard to do with backups. I think the coaches deserve some credit this year. One of my criticisms going into this year was this team with this schedule should win 10 games, minimum. If they don't, they should fire Kyle. Why? Because that's just flat out unacceptable. And we potentially have a better coach on the roster to take over the team. I think it's much likelier the 49ers win 12 or 13 games, probably win the division, and Cal's around for a few more years. Another metric to kind of keep an eye on is the success rate consistency. How successful are they game in and game out? How consistent are they being? That's going to tell us a lot over the next couple of games because they're not going to be playing any slouches. Arizona and Jacksonville are both good teams, though I think we're better. And then we got a 4-run stretch where we're playing a bunch of teams that are probably all going to have a Vegas advantage when it comes to the odds. Let's keep an eye on turnover margins, and let's keep an eye on the pass rush win rate because I think that Bosa and Huff could be the X factors in this season. If those guys are able to consistently close games like the way they have in the first 2 games, we got a real shot. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for me. I think the 49ers are in great position. They've done themselves a real service to knock out a couple of gritty wins in conference on the road to start the season, and we should all be very, very happy about that. Let's not be overly dissatisfied with a few of the things that you could, I guess, knock them for. Instead, let's be very pleased that we're going into the Arizona's rolling in. We're 2-0, and with a win against Arizona, we will be number 1, first solo at the top in the division. Next few games are going to be a test. If you're still here, thank you for that. We appreciate you. Like and subscribe to video buttons down here somewhere. Press them, please. We need you. Leave comments. I will try to respond as often as I can. I do go through them at least a couple of times a week and just see if there's any that have been hit back after the fact. I can't wait to do my next video, Niners by the Numbers. It'll be dropping Wednesday, going through all the advanced metrics, all the statistical analysis of not only the 49ers, but of the NFC West in general, to give everybody a kind of an idea of where things stand so far this season. And we'll take a look at the advanced metrics statistical breakdown of our next opponent as well. That is all to come. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good night.